Hi, everybody. This is Karma with episode 48 of My Life Stories. Welcome to any new viewers. Please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe and hit the bell icon to not miss any new episodes. And if you have any free time, listen to my playlist. So get yourself a drink, sit back, put your feet up, and let's get started. The name of today's story is First Kiss. I was looking through Facebook and came upon an entry that says, "Who remembers their first kiss?" One of the commenters said, "I do," and I just looked through Facebook to see if I could find him. Well, not having anything better to do without thinking, I put a name in and was prepared to do a lot of scrolling. Literally, the first name that came up was him. It was 1976, and I was 16 years old at the time. Since I was the only girl, my parents were quite protective with me. Actually, to say I was sheltered would be an understatement. I was kept under lock and key. Both of my older brothers were also fanatical about watching over me, so it always seemed like any move I made was reported to my parents. I felt as if I was coming into my own, and I chafed at the fact that I never got to do any of the things my friends got to do. No boy-girl parties, no going to the Dairy Queen alone with my friends. I wasn't even allowed to go anywhere by myself. I always had to be chaperoned. As with lots of small towns, there was a fast food place that sold some delicious fried chicken. Their French fries were legendary. My family always ordered from them every payday, on Friday. It was a treat for the whole family. During one of our visits, I noticed him. I thought he was very handsome, but I certainly didn't say anything to anyone. As our weekly trips to their establishment became a regular occurrence, a lot of the employees started to recognize me and my family. Somehow, even though I always tried to keep my head down, I must have caught his attention. He was always friendly and always made it a point to talk to me. I would always freeze up and stagger outside with the food in my hands like a zombie, with all these jumbled thoughts in my head. Was someone behind me? Was he really talking to me? Was he looking at me, or was it someone else? I had no self-esteem at the time. I was such a dork. One day, as we were going to have company, our order was much bigger than usual. My mother figured that there was a high probability that the food order would be wrong. So she insisted on looking through everything and found that there were some things missing from her order. As she was distracted at the counter, he made a beeline for me and started talking. He was very friendly and was just chatting about school and about work. He also asked me lots of questions, to which I gave short one-word answers to. What was my name? Where did I live? Did I want to know where he lived? Was that lady at the counter my mom? Would we be back next Friday as usual? I answered the best that I could. My mom, having verified that our order was complete, called me, and I left with her, looking back and seeing him enthusiastically wave goodbye. "Who was that?" she asked me. "Oh, one of the workers," I told her. "He goes to my school." "Oh," my mom said, and left it at that. I didn't think anything about that encounter till a couple of days later, when I saw an unfamiliar car slowly make its way around our block. I really noticed it about the third time I saw it go by. It was going slow enough for me to see who was behind the wheel. "Oh my God!" I thought to myself, "it's him! What is he doing riding around our block?" I was babysitting my younger cousins at home, and they had just settled in for a nap. I had sat by the window watching his car circle our block when all of a sudden he stopped and turned off the car, but he never walked up to the front door. It was no secret where I lived that my parents were fanatical about watching over me. I know lots of other people at school thought this was very funny and made fun of me. I guess that was my reputation. Sheltered queen. I have no doubts that he had heard this too. So there he was, parked in front of my house, and I started to panic that my parents would come home and find him there, and I would be in such trouble. I walked slowly up to the driver's side of the car. When he rolled down the window, "What are you doing here?" I asked him. "I wanted to talk to you," he said. I knew I couldn't let him come inside the house, so as I pondered what to do, he asked if I could sit inside his car and talk to him for a bit. I walked over to the passenger side of the car, slowly opened the door, and gingerly sat in. I was so close to the door that I rested my elbow on the handle rest. Back then, cars had these padded armrests on the doors. And he started to speak. We just sat there and talked about a lot of things. It was actually nice to have a conversation with someone other than my family. I really liked talking to him and was finding out we had some mutual interests. As I became more comfortable, I sort of drifted away from the handle armrest until I was sitting properly in the passenger seat, much closer to him than I had ever been before. We had been in his car for about an hour, just talking, when before I even knew what he was doing, he leaned over to me and kissed me. And not just a little peck on the lips, but a full-blown French kiss, tongue and all. In shock, I tried to pull away from him, but he wouldn't let me. I remember being scared out of my mind that my parents would come home and find me in this compromising position, and my life would be over. As soon as he relented a little bit, I jumped out of his car and angrily looked at him. "You better go home," I told him. "You don't want my father to catch you out here like this." In response, he started up his car and drove away. I ran into the house and was elated to see my cousin still napping peacefully. My face was red for a long time. I washed it with cold water, but every time I thought of what happened, I would blush furiously again. We continued to go to the restaurant that he worked at every Friday, and he was always friendly and would say hello or wave if he was busy. But one time when we went, I didn't see him there anymore, or any other time we went. I was afraid to ask anyone about it, if he had quit working there. At school, I heard he had a girlfriend. Sadly, I never really saw or heard from him again after that. A million times I went over that kiss in my head, and the only thing I could come up with was panic. I really, really panicked. It must have really put him off. I found him on Facebook and looked through all his photos. He seems to be a happily married family man with grandkids. I'm happy for him, and I still think he looks handsome. I hadn't thought of him in a long time. And now, thankfully, I'm not hurt like I used to be when I thought of him. I mean, he just loved me and left me. I hope everyone else's first kiss was much better than mine. Peace, y'all. That was a sweet walk through memory lane. My first kiss was not as dramatic as this author's. I was very young at the time and was madly in love with an older 16-year-old boy. He used to come to my house with treats for me. He knew my favorites were cherry pies, and that was his nickname for me, Cherry Pie. One day, he bought me one of my pies, and I was so happy I leaned over and kissed him on the lips in front of my mom and dad, who just laughed at me. Everything was idyllic. Until one day he showed up at my house with a girl. No, not just a girl, a girlfriend. I chased him out of my house and told him I never wanted to see him again. He didn't understand why. But my 3-year-old heart couldn't accept the betrayal or the fact that he thought we were really good friends. I was friend-zoned, y'all. Does anyone else remember their first kiss? And is that person still a part of your life? Let me know in the comments section. And please give the author 3 heart emojis to show your appreciation for this story and this walk through memory lane. If you would like your story read on my channel, please submit your story to karma@karmageddon.com or post to u/Karmageddon on Reddit. All stories will be read anonymously with either initials, descriptions, or pseudonyms only. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Feel free to share with family and friends, and subscribe and hit the bell icon for any new stories to be delivered to you. As a subscriber, this makes it easy for you not to miss any of my stories. Also, check out my playlists whenever you have some free time. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And that's my video for today. Remember, do something nice today. Help me change the world.
It's not their turn, it's my turn to shine. Like the rays of the sunlight reaching out my arms.
See you next Tuesday. I hope everyone is living their best life possible. Remember, if you send good things out to the universe, good things will also come back to you. Don't be afraid of change. Change is the only thing that we can count on in our lives. And during these times, there's nothing wrong with asking for help if we need it. And most of all, let's keep working together to get through this pandemic. Have a sweet day and a cool night, and I will see you later.